So keeping in mind that it's cheaper, how am I actually using it day to day? Well, firstly, let's discuss whether it's a Claude killer or not, because I've heard that term going around. It is if you're doing basic tasks. It is if you're purely looking at a cost per intelligence metric basis, but it isn't in terms of the metric of just what is more intelligent, because Claude 4.8 technically is more intelligent. So if you want to use the smartest model, you're using 4.8 or just a rung below that, 5.5. And of course, once we have access to Fable, you're going to be using Fable. That is the smartest model in the world. But if you care about cost optimization, I think we should all care about cost optimization, then it is going to be a Claude killer for some of you. So I recommend, number 2, how it's entering my stack, that you use it for the grunt work, the big repetitive jobs, the first drafts of code. Remember, in some of my recent videos, I talked about the 10-80-10 rule, doing the first 10% with a really smart model. So the smartest model right now is Opus. If it's Fable, then it's Fable. You want to do your planning with the 10%. Then you want to do the grunt work with the cheaper model. In this case, GLM is an absolutely fantastic option. And then for the last 10%, the code review and the debugging, you want to pivot back to the smartest model available. And that way you can kind of sandwich a development and get the maximum value for money. And that is my strategy. And that's how this is going to be entering my stack for now. And the great thing is, because I'm using Claude Code as a harness, as I showed you, I don't need to, switch from harness to harness. I can just use Visual Studio Code with, Claude and just switch between the two. Or I can just use the Claude application or use Claude in my terminal and I get access to this model. So the Claude loops, which I'm going to be doing a video on, and all of my Claude goals and all of my skills, it's all just automatically routing to the preferred model, which is, amazing. You don't even really need to think about it once you install it, as long as you set up your parameters right and set up your instructions right on Claude. Where I'm genuinely keeping Claude is in, as I said, like the sandwich spots. So like the bread of the sandwich. So the real thinking, the bugs, the debugging, the things that, even though GLM 5.2 is really impressive and I've been very impressed with my experimentation so far, I don't think it's the smartest Claude. I can already tell, especially when it comes to debugging, and it's almost there, like for scraping and data management and data analysis, but and it's certainly a lot cheaper, but it's not quite like the fastest strategic model. And that's where Claude comes in. Anything really important, that hard 20%, you still want to use Claude. And thirdly, the bottom line is that you don't want to marry any model. I think I've made that clear on this channel by now. Like, Claude is great. I'm going to use Claude. I'll be a diehard Claude fan as long as it's the smartest model. The second it's not the smartest model or the best value model for my needs, I'm going to switch. I'm not loyal to a model. I'm not marrying a model. I'm not marrying a company in AI. I have a portable memory system. I use Superbase for this. I'm going to do a video on it. I also have a local memory system on my computer with context that automatically updates every time I have an important chat. I have skills on Claude, which automatically update whenever I am doing a certain task, a repetitive task, so it gets smarter over time. And those skills are saved as local memory files, which syncs to the cloud, which I own. So if I switch models from Claude to GPT or GPT to GLM, it understands, it has context about me, and I don't lose out.